Welcome to Wednesday. Wanted to call it Weird, Wild, Wacky Wednesdays, but apparently people already have that. So we're going with WeWeWednesday, which is upside down meme. Yeah. So going to be streaming these live every Wednesday, covering some of the weird, wild, wacky, weird memed, crazy news from around the world. Hopefully that's recent, but could potentially be not because I'm not up with the times. But anyway, I don't care when it happened. If it's interesting and I've never heard of it, I'm going to be covering it that week. In any event, this week's Wednesday show is recorded on a Friday, which is fantastic. In all seriousness, because my arsehole has been bleeding, so there's that. I've been trying to record this for 2 weeks, but due to some surgery problems, I've had to put it off, which sounds like a joke, but unfortunately for my arsehole, it's not. I'll leave you to put some comments in the comment section about that and make your own jokes up about that, but it's actually true. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm starting to now put my phone in tinfoil. Not that I have done that here. But news has come out that old mate Ghislaine Maxwell, when she was caught, had her phone wrapped in tinfoil to evade detection. So apparently, wrapping your phone in tinfoil protects it from the old police. So there's that. So if you're trying to avoid them, put it in tinfoil. I mean, the fact that these things are literally programmed to be able to track you even when you don't have battery, kind of makes it a little bit bizarre to think that just because you put it in tinfoil that you won't be tracked. I mean, maybe the signal won't work, but then what the fuck is the point of having a phone if you don't have any signal? Because at some point you're going to have to connect a signal. And what if you put a hole in your tinfoil? I don't know about you, but when I walk around with items with tinfoil in my pocket, they usually get some holes, which wouldn't be good. But yeah, federal agents who arrested her found a cell phone wrapped in tinfoil inside her New Hampshire home in a misguided effort to evade detection. Prosecutors revealed new details of what took place the day that Jizzy was arrested, and argued they underscore the risks of allowing her out of detention. They also pointed to her wealth, saying she controls a Swiss trust worth $4 million. Who doesn't these days, though? She has an account in England that has at least at times held over $2 million. Well, that's a bit stupid. Does it have $2 million, or at some point has it had $2 million? Because there is obviously a massive difference between having $2 million in there once and then not. Because, like, what if you sell your house? Maybe you got a really good house, you bought it cheap, and now it's worth $2 million, but you actually owe a shitload of money on that, and maybe you owe 80% of that. So actually, you only have $400,000. This is misleading and unfair to such an upstanding citizen as Ghislaine. Obviously not, but in any event, she says they said to the extent the defendant now refuses to account for her ownership or access to vast wealth is not because it does not exist, it is because she is attempting to hide it, the prosecutors wrote. Well, I'm just going to put myself out there and say, look, Ghislaine, if you need somewhere to hide money, I have a bank account that has never had at times $2 million in it. So I won't be having that same issue that you are. But, just lend me like 1.6 million and then we're still 400,000 under what prosecutors seem to think is an issue. So we're all good. And, I hope they checked under her bed or in her wallet. Sometimes I find like, I don't know, $20 or something, an old $50 note in my jacket that was there too. The way they talk about it is like that she might just have random accounts in random countries that may or may not have $2 million and may or may not have spent some of it, but may still have more of it coming in. Like, it's just like, oh yeah, there's a few $1 million here, a few $1 million there. What's a couple $1 million between different random bank accounts? What the fuck? When FBI agents arrived at her home in rural Bradford on July 2, they breached the gate and then directed her private security guard to open the front door. As all poor people have their own private security guard, people that have no access to money quite often just have their own private security guard on their estate, don't they? Through a window, the agent spotted Maxwell trying to flee. The agent saw the defendant ignore the direction to open the door and instead try to flee to another room in the house, quickly shutting a door behind her. The agents forced open the door and ultimately found Maxwell inside the house, according to the court filing. Now, if you're trying to hide in your house when the federal agents are coming, I think that, like, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that most houses don't really have places where you could actually hide where they wouldn't find you, because eventually, I mean, they're not going to give up. So what are you going to do? Live in an underground tunnel for 10 days? I mean, if you've actually built an underground tunnel, in which case you're probably not that poor. But yeah, if you've built an underground tunnel, I mean, you still got to get out. So, and they've got to not find it. So it really seems stupid to be trying to hide in your house from federal agents who are coming in after they've already got past your private security, which you somehow have while still being poor. As they were sweeping the house, they discovered a cell phone wrapped in tinfoil on top of a desk, the court papers say. Prosecutors described it as a seemingly misguided effort to evade detection, not by the press or public, which of course would have no ability to trace her phone or intercept her communications, but by law enforcement. Now, that's not true. That's just not true. I mean, obviously the press or the public could, if they so were, trying to probably hack it, because I mean, there's hackers and shit, like celebrities get their stuff hacked. So, I mean, I'm not going to put it out there, but like the next happening, if there isn't a better target, I don't know who is than Ghislaine Maxwell. And by that, I mean her own pictures, not other people's pictures she may have on her phone. The court papers also noted that Maxwell had a private security team composed of former British military members and didn't leave the home, relying on guards to go out to buy things with a credit card linked to a limited liability corporation set up to buy the 356-acre property. Again, all poor people have their own 356-acre property with their own British military members as security guards. So I completely agree. She's being railroaded. This is a disgrace. They should let her out. I mean, she only has a small team of British military members. It's not like she has this massive own army. It's like just like a personal security guards. It's not, I mean, her own army or something. I mean, effectively, it kind of is. And compared to the average person, yes, you might say that it's like you're having your own army, but 356-acre property. I mean, you need a lot of guards to protect that. Do you know how fucking massive that is? And again, if her phone was in tinfoil, how the fuck did they catch her? She's already thought through all this. So why would, how would they catch her? Unless there were public or private people that snuck in and found it. So again, I think she's being railroaded here. It's not like they, there are apps or software in phone that tracks everything and, can find everything and, even though people have said that doesn't happen and sounds like a wacky conspiracy theory, it's like pretty much proven that there are ways for the government to look into your phone. And, you know, it's not like the government's just going to let people go untraced, sending any type of message. But yeah. Well, moving on. An IBM job ad calls for 12 years experience with Kubernetes, Kubernetes. I don't know what the fuck that is. But whatever the fuck it is, it's only 6 years old. So this kind of raises the big problem we've been ignoring for a long time as a society, which is lazy fetuses. Fetuses are good for nothing lazy slackers who put no effort into improving themselves. They leech off their parents, and it's time we force fetuses to do something useful with their time. It's not even like they are playing video games. I mean, babies should be born with degrees. They should be coming out of the womb knowing how to do things. It's just a disgrace. If your wife is pregnant and you aren't actively teaching your child advanced computer programming, so advanced that I've never even heard of what the fuck it's called, and don't know how to pronounce it, then you're a deadbeat father. And rightfully so that you raised a lazy child. Your kid's doing nothing for 9 months, not even playing video games. You know, people out there complaining about these lazy slackers playing video games all the time, and your lazy fetus spent 9 months doing fuck all. I want you to think about that. Think about all that time that was wasted and what could have been achieved if that lazy fetus had been putting some effort into learning Kubernetes, whatever the fuck that is. You know, they'd be able to get a job once they turn 6. And, you know, most of these lazy fetuses don't even have hobbies. But in any event, it brings me to my next business idea, which is video games for fetuses. Now, don't anyone steal that because that's mine. But yeah, I think it's time that, I mean, think of how boring it would be as a fetus. Literally all day, every day, you're doing nothing. You're just rolling around or roaming around. I don't even know what. They don't roll. What the fuck are they to do? They're there. I mean, they don't even eat with their hands in their mouth. What are they doing? They can't jack off. They can't play video games. They can't do anything of note. They don't work. They're not learning. They're not studying. They're not making shitty podcasts that aren't interesting or funny and struggling to remember what the fuck to say and read their own thing, which is pretty obvious because this is the first time I've done this, but you know, whatever. Yeah. I think it's time we take as a stand as a nation and say enough with the lazy fetuses. We want children born knowing how to do shit, not wasting that 9 months doing fuck all. And it's good for them. I mean, they're going to be bored as shit while they're there. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't really remember being a fetus. But if I did, I can only assume it was terrible. And I think the reason why I don't remember it is because it was boring as fuck. But that's just me. Now, moving on, of course, you're all up with the latest with Turkmenistan. So I don't have to tell you the government over there believes there is no coronavirus over there. But did you know that Turkmenistan actually has this massive dust problem? A problem so strong that the government is insisting that people wear masks to protect themselves. And, you know, Turkmenistan is one of the handful of countries yet to declare coronavirus cases. In a statement published in the State Information Agency, the health ministry said people should wear masks because of high concentrations of dust in the air. Makes a lot of sense. It is strongly recommended that everyone use personal protective equipment to protect the upper respiratory tract, which I'm guessing is also the same spot where coronavirus affects. But that's just a coincidence because there are certainly no cases over there. It also asked residents to maintain social distancing of at least 1 meter, but gave no explanation. You know, you can just pass on dust so easily with people. So you got to remain socially distant. I'm one of those people that are calling for when coronavirus is over that we still remain socially distant so that we can avoid the dust. because this has obviously been a big problem. I have sinus issues that are like fucking crazy, and that's because of dust, because of See, look at that. Even then I had to breathe just to be able to, because my sinuses are so fucked up that my nose is, I can barely breathe through it. Due to all the dust, because of selfish fucks like you who don't social distance and don't give us the space to be able to do what we need to do and not have to worry because of, your selfishness and your spreading of the dust. There's my coronavirus dust playing up again. But yes, as I was saying, if you would stop being so fucking selfish, the dust wouldn't be in the air. I mean, we all know that keeping a meter away prevents dust. I mean, it's always been scientifically proven. I think we should all follow Turkmenistan's lead, though. As I was saying, why stop there, though? We should wear condoms while masturbating. Women should take the morning after pills, even if they don't have sex. You should wear a seatbelt in your home office. And yet again, this is, that's my new next business. So you're going to get a lot of business ideas out of this that I'm coming up with, but I'm documenting it, so you can't fucking steal it. So don't even fucking think about it. This is essentially my patent. But that dust inside my lungs. So at this time with the coronavirus, people are out there struggling, and they don't have money to afford rent or food. People are starving. I mean, I don't have to tell you, they've gone bankrupt. They got to bankroll some lazy fetus who puts in nothing and doesn't even try to do anything. There are people out there with no job, no future. We got crashing housing markets, no income from investments, no money to pay staff, or the company they work for can't afford to pay their wages. They don't know how to feed their kids. Their kids can't go to school, so they have to see them all day, which again, you got to spend time with your lazy brat. I mean, not only did you have to go through the experience of them doing nothing for 9 months, but then once they're born, you then have to spend all this fucking time with them. I mean, at least before you got rid of them at school, but now you got to even spend more time with them, which is, I mean, and you got to figure out how to fucking pay for all their shit, and now they're at home bored, and you got to figure out what to pay to entertain the lazy shits. I mean, and then you got people like me that are really struggling, people that have frequent flyer status they can't even use because we can't fly. I mean, there's real pain out there, but at this time, all of that is minuscule when you put into effect the real victims out there. And of course, the biggest victim of coronavirus is clearly the Queen. So this story comes from MarketWatch. And I mean, the Queen is really doing it tough in these tough times. Queen Elizabeth II sells gin made from leaves at Buckingham Palace after tourist revenues crash. Unfortunately, she needs a little bit of cash to afford her art collection. And I quote from the article, "Proceeds will go to Trust for Care and Conservation of Royal Art Collection." So again, some of you people are out there complaining about not being able to eat. You've lost your jobs. You're going to have to sell your house if you even have one. You can't afford rent. And you make out like you're some kind of victim when you've got the Queen out here and not being able to afford art. Like, seriously, have a look at yourself. So yeah, back to the article. Queen Elizabeth II is selling gin made from leaves. Very inventful, that Queen out there. She's making it from leaves found at the back of Buckingham Palace as cash from tourists visiting her residence has plunged. The Royal Collection Trust, a department of the royal household, launched a premium small batch London dry gin for sale in its shops on Monday, infused with bay and mulberry leaves found in her back garden. So again, if you're wondering how you're going to be able to afford rent or how to pay off the mortgage with no job at the moment, maybe go grab some of them leaves outside and turn it into gin, and you'll be able to afford some fine art. Yeah, and she's selling it at £40 a bottle. So maybe the reason why you're poor is because you're not as resourceful as the Queen. You've never had to struggle the way the Queen has. You've never had to like deal with those extremities and, you know, deal with the real world and had to be resourceful as the Queen. You know, I really personally hope that the Queen writes a book about like how to deal with these tough times and how to be resourceful and to overcome the challenges in life, because I know that that would be a bestseller for me. And I think that you people out there could learn from it too. You know, learning the basic survival skills of how to buy art when, you know, the tourism plunges crashing and you need to make gin out of leaves for £40. Okay, well, now that we've raised your spirits, knowing that the Queen has found a way out of her dark place, I don't want to alarm you, but this one comes from CBS Local in Denver. And the article is entitled "Squirrel in Morrison Tests Positive for Bubonic Plague." So we've got fucking squirrels out there running around with the plague. So that's a good sign. Jefferson County Public Health recommends the following precautions be taken to protect yourself and your pets from plague. People and pets should avoid contact with sick or dead animals and rodents. I'm glad I'm married because that really wipes out my dating pool. I don't know about you, but I just generally don't just like, you know, grab wild dead animals or sick rodents on the side of the road. It's just not what I do when I walk in the park. But each to their own, I guess. It continues with some more helpful advice. Keep pets from roaming freely outside the home where they may prey on wild animals and bring disease home with them. But I didn't know this until recently. So apparently you're meant to lock your dogs in your house, which I wish someone had told me about 25 dogs ago, because it's really becoming troublesome that they walk out on their own. Did you know that? They just have this mind of their own and keep walking. Anyway, they continue to say, use precaution when handling sick pets. Have sick pets examined by a veterinarian. Well, again, I'm glad I'm learning this now, because I used to just operate on my own dogs. You know, when my dog had a broken arm, I would be the one putting a cast on it and figuring out how to do it. Yeah, I once had to even neuter my own dog. I mean, obviously I didn't, but you know. From CNN, this one's another, again, the dust in the air is fucking me up. I mean, I don't know about you, but I think it's time that Australia took dust seriously as Turkmenistan, because this is just ridiculous. The amount of dust in the air and the lack of social distancing that's creating these dust issues, I've had to live my whole life under this. But anyway, from CNN, English pub owner installs electric fence to keep customers at a safe distance. Because that's what you need in a fucking pub, is an electric fence. And how the fuck would that even be legal? You literally have to reach over the electric fence to pay and to pick up your pint, which is just absurd. But anyway, I mean, I'd need an electric fence to keep me inside an English pub, let alone fucking whilst I'm inside there. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been to one, but they stink, they're old, the carpets are dirty and sticky. Half of them are made hundreds of years ago, which is not an exaggeration, literally hundreds of years ago, when the average height was what is now like, it's a medical condition because you're too short, to put it politely. I mean, yeah. I mean, these places you got to duck your head because the ceiling is still at like 4 foot high. Now, we've already covered that there are a lot of people out there who need money at the moment. And so I'm certainly not encouraging this and never would encourage anyone to ever do this. So please do not. But it seems to me, if you went to a certain English pub and got zapped by an electric fence that's just sitting in the middle of the pub, which you have to lean over to order, there's a slight lawsuit waiting to happen. And should someone, I don't know, drop a pint on it, I mean, perhaps, I don't know, I'm no expert, but like, isn't electricity and liquid a bad combination? So I don't know. I don't understand how there's not even the slightest issue with that. Anyway, moving to Chicago, and they need Batman. Not to fight their rising crime or other issues in a city that is so well known for crime and corruption that half of primetime TV is about it. But no, Lori Lightfoot, the mayor of Chicago, has put up the bat signal, or in this case, the cowboy signal for the census. Some people treat the census as a joke and spend countless hours coming up with the most ridiculous thing they could come up with to list as their religion, but apparently some people do give a shit about it. So according to NBC5 Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot is taking a rather unconventional approach to encourage residents to fill out the 2020 census, employing a mascot dubbed the Census Cowboy. At a news conference, she pleaded with residents to step up and let their voices be heard. The mayor acknowledged Chicago has a 55% census response rate compared to 62% nationwide. I mean, 62% still seems low as fuck, but anyway, America for you, I guess. The Chicago Census Cowboy will be sent to the 10 communities across the city with the lowest response rate in hope of securing increased funding for libraries, schools, senior facilities, and other government entities. Lightfoot compared the recruiting the cowboy to Batman, in which officials in the fictional city of Gotham used the bat signal to summon the superhero. So we are doing something similar for the census. Let's do this, Chicago. Let's make the census cowboy proud. Now, I don't know about you, but it's always been my dream goal to make the census cowboy proud. So if anyone watching this is from Chicago and dares to not fucking fill out the census, I mean, there's no punishment for you except for knowing that you let the census cowboy down. And that's got to tear you apart. But in any event, for every additional person counted in Chicago, the city stands to gain approximately 1.4K. In hope of getting more people on board, the city has decided to host a 2020 Census Ward Challenge. The ward with the highest increase in census responses will win free ice cream. That's right, free ice cream. And you kind of hope it's like good ice cream. You wouldn't want to have just like cheap shit because, you know, if you're going to fill out a document with information, I mean, for ice cream, you want it to be something like a premium Magnum or something like that, not like just some home brand knockoff shitty ice cream. I mean, how do you even give ice cream to a ward? And it seems like a bit of a cheap bribe, not a literal bribe, but a theoretical bribe to get someone to do it. Now, one place that isn't as cheap and has made a wise decision to spend government money efficiently in a time when money is short, we're all relying on more government funding just to get by. So we're going over the Channel 7 News in Australia here, local. We go over to how the New Zealand government has put their money to good use. So at this time, you know, obviously money's important, especially in governments when they got to bail everyone out and all that kind of shit. New Zealand government has been embarrassed by cost overruns to a new parliamentary playground and slide, which has cost Kiwis the price of a house. Taxpayers have paid 572,000 New Zealand dollars, which is 536,000 Australian dollars, real money, for an architectural designed slide on the lawns in front of Wellington's Beehive. The median price of a house in New Zealand, according to Real Estate Institute of New Zealand, was 620,000. So it's effectively 90% of a house. So, you know, I'm a little bit embarrassed for Channel 7 for their overstatement. It's only 90% of a house, not the full 100% of the median house value. Of course, you could buy a house, but you could also buy a shithole house that is 1 meter by 1 meter and then claim that it's the price of a house. And, anyway, that kind of made no sense and went nowhere, but whatever. I hope you see in the work that we're doing the centrality of kids to us as a government. I can't think of a parliament in the world that has a playground on its front lawn, Ardern said at the time. Yeah, I guess that I don't think that any other country would be bragging about spending $572K on a basic slide outside of their parliament either. But you do you. The opposition spokesman Nick Smith used the release of the cost this week to both whack the spending and brag of his own building ability, because don't let a good crisis or government wastage go to waste. He said, I built my own children's playground in Nelson with a playhouse slide, 2 swings and a climbing frame for $5,000, or 1/100th of the cost, he said. Well done. Well done, Nick. You should be proud. This $500,000 extravagance on parliamentary grounds is an insult to the thousands of play centers, kindergartens, schools, and other children's organizations that scrimp and save for playgrounds across the country. I know sweet fuck all about New Zealand politics, and which is a fact I'm pretty proud of. So we're not getting political here, but I'm simply planning my next holiday trip to ride this slide, and quite frankly, Mr. Opposition spokesman Nick, if I get 1 minute of fun riding the slide twice out of it, it will be the best $500K that New Zealand has ever spent. In saying that, they could have probably buy a scoop of ice cream for delivered by a cowboy as well for every New Zealand citizen, but 1 scoop only. Don't get too carried away. We don't want to waste money. Now we're going to move further around the globe. This time we're going to Botswana. So Botswana is throwing raves for elephants. That's right. Musical raves for elephants. So this one comes from RFI.fr. Now, this could be a troll site. I don't know, and I don't really care. The article's interesting enough that it seems like it, and they have evidence, so it's real. But anyway, but I'm an idiot who refuses to do research other than the fact that they included some posts from social media and stuff that seems to make this look legit. But now, what would be your dream animal to rave with? I met a guy once who for real took his dog clubbing in LA. Now, personally, I'd like to take a giraffe into a club and make the thing duck, so it has to experience what I have to go through in those shitty English pubs where they have those fucking old-time roofs. But anyway, we'll go into the article. The article reads, researchers in northern Botswana have come up with a novel way to protect farmers' crops from elephants. Disco lights have proved to be effective in redirecting the great beasts from their path as they trample their way through the floodplains near the Chobe National Park. The Chobe National Park, not to be confused with the Chode National Park, a place full of images of chodes. It goes on to say that the likelihood of an elephant entering a crop field was significantly lower when the lights are present to control fields. I mean, if the lights were president, that would be pretty fucked up. I mean, how can you have a light as your president? In any event, the lights set up at 10-meter intervals on poles up to 1.7 meters high constantly flash a different color. During the study, the color pattern was changed weekly to prevent elephants getting used to it. You got to keep the raves varied for the elephants. They get bored if they get the same rave every week. You bait and switch the elephants with the strobe lights, and they think they're about to go to a party and get zooted. Instead, they get here, they hear no music, there's no drinks. You'd expect a 1-star Yelp review for that kind of shitty elephant club. The idea of flashing is Okay, and this is a direct quote. The idea of flashing is what we wanted to explore further. Again, the idea of flashing is what we wanted to explore further, Adams tells RFI. A phrase I've said one too many times in my life myself, and a weird spot for the article writer to stop on. Clearly he knows what's up and deliberately did that. So props to you, dude or woman who wrote the article. It might be the association with people that makes the elephants fearful, or that it appears foreign or unfamiliar to them, which is a little bit of a humble brag, because if your penis is so big, the elephants become fearful when you flash them. Something that I couldn't say, which is no comment on mine, but, you know, elephants have massive dicks, so you need like 72 inches to intimidate an elephant, or at least, you know, at least that's my experience, but, you know, if you're going to flash them. Botswana's elephants are in the spotlight after 400 were found dead from unknown causes between March and June, mostly near Okavango Delta, another wildlife-rich area in the north of the country. Tests have been done on samples taken from the carcasses, but the results are still unknown. It's suspected the animals died from a viral or bacterial infection. On a serious note, has anyone decided and gone around to maybe check that they don't have coronavirus or dust? Are there dust issues over there? Because my friends in Turkmenistan tell me that dust is a massive issue that we need to cover up for. So I'm assuming that if it's hitting right now, the elephants might be getting affected by that dust. All right. Well, finally, for fans of proper music, people who go out for the music, not the other shit, there's some good news. From the Standard. Niagara Falls strip club set to open without strippers Saturday. Finally, I can pay overpriced entry fee to sit in a shitty room with shit music and shit flashing lights to drink overpriced drinks and be served food that seems like it would be really unhygienic, just being around the sexual energy and not have to worry about a dirty dollar falling out of a classy woman's G-string onto my food. But, you know, much like the elephants, the whole thing repels me, so I won't be attending. Only because flights are cancelled due to Corona. Otherwise, I'd be front row drinking a Corona and coughing on my dollars as I slide them down the stripper's arsehole. So, yeah. Props to you, Niagara. Finally making those clubs what they need to be. Focusing on strip club music. Everything we love about strip clubs without the strippers. Finally, like, you know, getting rid of the shit that gets in the way of a strip club, because a good strip club is about food, drinks, music, friends. And then you got these like fucking strippers there that are in the way, dancing and wanting money, which is just not right. But anyway, well, this is the first episode. Hopefully the next episode will be better. Hopefully I get over my dust infection, which is fucking me up. Hopefully my arsehole isn't bleeding again and doesn't fuck the whole thing up again, which again sounds like a joke, but it's really not. But to end this, I'm just going to say, for the stupid people, none of this is serious, and only an idiot would believe or genuinely agree with anything I've said. So there's that. If you get upset because you think any of it's real, I mean, that probably says a lot more about you than it does about me. So, you know, until next time, this is Wednesday, which is meme upside down. And it's not Wednesday, but, you know, at some point we'll be going live on Wednesdays. Comment below. I'll try to, I don't know, respond to them in the next one. In future, when I go live, we can interact and be whatever. But yeah. Until then, peace, love, WeWeWednesday.